Okay, so now we go through the main conclusions. Just in the previous video, we derived that as distance from the core increases, the price of housing will decrease and the size of the house will increase. And this is shown in this graph with the red person facing a budget constraint of red and consuming Z0 and Q0, while the person further away in X1 will consume C1 and Q1. Okay, now there's another conclusion from the monocentric model that we can draw from the consumer side of the model. The first one here comes from the curve that relates the housing price P to the distance. So here we have in the x-axis the distance and in the y-axis the price.
The money per mile.
Now, the price falls at decreasing rate as x increases. And to know why this is the shape of the price, let's just check this budget constraint. So we have income minus commuting cost. It's equal to bread consumption plus housing consumption, where we have the price of housing times square footage. If we solve for P, what we get is that P is equal to y minus the cost of commuting minus consumption in bread divided by square footage. So this means that if we want to know how will the price change as you increase 1 unit of distance, is given by the derivative shifting P divided by the derivative of P with respect to X is minus T divided by Q. So the slope at any location is equal to the negative of the commuting cost per mile divided by the size at this given location, okay, all over this curve. Then this convexity is because Q increases, the size increases with X. Therefore, this division becomes less negative and the curve flatter as the distance increases. So, at a suburban location where dwellings are large, a small decline in price per square foot is sufficient to generate enough housing cost savings to compensate for an extra mile of commute. But in the central city location where dwellings are already very small, a larger decline in the price per square foot is needed to generate the required savings.
And finally, recall that the utility of those living near the core must be equal to the utility of those living further away. And that's what sustains these relationships.
Now, a second conclusion is about the spatial behavior of total rent. Total rent is given by P times Q. This is the total rent, and we're assuming you can think that everybody rents here. Okay, the question is how the total rent for a small central city dwelling compares to the total rent for a suburban house. Now, here the comparison will be ambiguous because P falls with distance while the size increases with distance. Okay, so this implication is that we don't know.